Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? This is Amanda. I do hope that you're well. This is going to be a video in honour of the birthday of Princess Diana, which is on the 1st of July. And Princess Diana, of course, was one of the first person, in fact, she was the first being that I channeled other than angels, ascended masters, elements. Diana came through a number of years ago and I did a first channeling with her. Many others followed and she helped me create something called the Heart Squad. Many of you might know what that is, but if you don't, it is a collection of channeled work that I've done, linking into many famous names that you would remember and love. And they all came through with specific teachings. This week, I'm recording this at the end of the week, we've had the anniversary of the death of Michael Jackson and also the birthday of George Michael. They were two of the founding members of the Heart Squad, along with Freddie Mercury as well, who I don't believe has got an anniversary this week. But yeah, a varied crew that have been channeled, all with amazing teachings. But Diana absolutely as the queen that sort of has introduced all of them back to us in many ways. So I wanted to honour her birthday this year and was wondering how to do it. And what has happened over the course of the past hour is just an idea for a video via her has come in, and I'm going to just flow with it. More than anything, it feels as though Diana is wanting us to remember the sisterhood, to remember the power of what it is to be female, to bring in and honour other feminine energies, which includes ascended masters such as Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Kuan Yin. I've also got the energy of Marilyn Monroe. I've channeled Marilyn Monroe before. Mother Earth too. Also the energy of our ancestors on our maternal line. The Greek goddess Aphrodite. Also, I'm hearing the name Nefertiti, which I've just actually looked it up. She was an Egyptian queen. I actually recognised the recovered head profile bust, basically, that they found of her when they were doing excavations. And just really quickly, because maybe Nefertiti is a queen that I might channel another time, or maybe she'll come through here, I really don't know. But Diana's bringing her to our attention for some reason. It says that she had 6 daughters. Her and her husband enacted a religious revolution. They ruled over one of the most affluent and wealthy periods in ancient Egyptian history. So maybe some of us who we know have got Egyptian lifetimes, past lives, maybe we knew of her at that time. Maybe there's a remembrance coming through. But more than anything, she was also regarded as a living fertility goddess, and she co-ruled with her husband. So there's something there also about sovereignty and queendom linking into equality in that way, in terms of rulership. But remember, rulership is also about how you rule your life, whether you are sovereign in your life or whether you give your power away to others. So there's probably quite a lot that wants to come through in this video. I feel Diana's energy very much over my right hand shoulder today. And no, it's not because of the painting behind me, although maybe there's a clue to why she's sort of behind me on my right today. That painting that you can see, many of you know anyway, but just quickly, is the depiction from the Christ Consciousness deck of an older lady who has been able to keep her inquisitiveness, her open-mindedness alive, and who isn't closed, basically. So, Diana, if she had still been alive, would have been 64 this year, 2025, which in today's language isn't really old. And I feel very much her coming through with this sort of sporty energy today, interestingly. And I think she showed me this image before, but you know, the image of her at sports day all those years ago when there was a parents' race and she kicked off her shoes and she showed me her white billowing skirt, or was a billowing skirt, and she just went for it and she was laughing her head off and having fun, but also quite a competitive energy in that moment. I'm also being shown the energy of her when she used to go to the gym, she used to swim. There's this thing about sportiness, but more than anything, it seems to be linked into the energy of appreciating our physicality, looking after our physicality. I feel as if she had been given the chance to grow older and become, for example, 64, she still would have had, she's saying, that youthful spirit living within her. The thing is, as you get older, some people close down and can sort of sink into becoming older. And I don't think that would ever have been how she would have been. She would have kept that childlike spirit, really, that she had within her. And that's what she's showing me. She's showing me the inner energy that she had, which was inquisitive, got her into lots of trouble also. Also lots of fun, but more than anything was alive, and still is in spirit. So that's really beautiful. And I do think a nod to these queens that she's bringing in and goddesses, particularly the energy, for example, of Aphrodite, which is also an energy linked, a goddess rather, linked into beauty and wisdom and sensuality and sexuality, but it's very much it's very earthy, but it's very alive. So that's how she's coming through. But anyway, we're going to start off this video with a fairy tale, because many people might think that her life was a fairy tale that turned gothic at the end, and we're not going to go back into all of that. We've covered all of that in previous videos, but you know, the fairy tale. So one of you, thank you, I can't remember who it was, sent me the Fairy Tale Oracle by Kate Forsyth recently, and I thought it'd be interesting to start this video with Diana with one of these cards. And more than anything, I'd like, Diana, for you to work through these cards and for you to show us, please, what is the fairy tale that is out there that at the moment humanity, or as a collective, we're stuck on. And in particular, we're focusing on the energy of the divine feminine, which of course is within everybody. So the energy of being female, what is the fairy tale right now that we are telling ourselves, or that we're stuck on? I don't know, let's just see what comes through, and then we'll ask her about it and go on from that. Okay, we've got Spinning Straw, Impossible Task, Rumpelstiltskin, card number 37. That's the card. And I'm going to go to the book to see what the message is for us. I don't actually know much about the fairy tale of Rumpelstiltskin, I have to say, so let's have a look. It says, fairy tales are full of impossible tasks. In Rumpelstiltskin, the impossible task is to spin straw into gold. One of the first human crafts from the beginning, spinning was seen as women's work, and for many thousands of years, a woman's worth was judged by how well she could spin and sew. Because the spinning motion of the wheel reflected the turning of the heavens above earth, it has long been linked with ideas of fate and destiny. So in Rumpelstiltskin, the girl's impossible task indicates her lack of control over her destiny. She is poor and powerless, her fate lying in the hands of the three men who use her for their own ends. That's really interesting. Before I read on, there's a bit more to go, but let me just think about what is coming through there. So the fact that we don't feel as though we are in control of our own destiny. And isn't that interesting coming through with Diana? Because there is a bit of a conversation to be had there. The first thing to say, and she's talked about this in other videos that I've done, is of course, as a soul contract, nothing went wrong. Okay, the soul contract played out at a higher level exactly how it was meant to play out, that she was meant to be the princess who married who she married, who had the son she had, who lived the life she had, who had the death she had. It was at a soul contract level executed to perfection. And that applies to us in our lives. We often we all have soul contracts, but there's also a degree of free will, but there are also points of destiny. And the higher self and the soul understands that and is at peace with that. But when you come down here at human level, you forget all of that because you're meant to. And it can be very hard to go through the experiences that your soul has set up for you, which is why it's so important actually to tune back into your higher self at all times, who will reassure you that actually everything is on track, even though it feels as though it's not, that there is growth in this. There's something that your soul wants to experience in this. But anyway, back to Diana. At a 3D human level when she was alive, what's coming through is this energy of feeling as though she was not in control of her destiny, that she was born to the family she was born to, and those not in the UK might not understand, but the Spencer family is one of the most influential aristocratic families. You know, they are aristocracy. She was bred effectively for this purpose. She had met Charles way before they ever got engaged. The families knew each other. It was, in many ways, she's saying, an arranged marriage, but not in the way that you would think it in terms of a traditional arranged marriage, where you literally, well, we all know what an arranged marriage is, but she said it had shades of that. So in many ways, she felt as though at the time she liked to feel as though she was the one in control of the story, but now she looks back and she can see that it was all set up from the word go. So back to you and your life, it's this thing about, do we feel as though we have control over our own lives? Are we in charge of our destiny? And where does free will fit into all of it? Put it this way, my understanding is that there are certain events in our life, there are certain relationships in our life that are predestined. How we get to them and how long it takes us to get to them and what we do once we get to them is our own path to lead. But it's almost as though all paths lead to Rome. So with her, all paths were always going to lead to Charles. All paths ultimately were going to lead her to the death that she had at a young age. All paths were going to lead her to birthing the future King of England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. Always have to say that because it's important you understand that it's the King and Queen of the United Kingdom, not just England. Although I know she's known as England's Rose, but of course many people love her in all sorts of other countries. So back to what it says then about this fairy tale. Oh, it's also the thing about a woman's work, isn't it? What is a woman's work, and whether women and how women are judged on that work. So Diana is talking here about the stereotypes that still exist in our society, which are being broken down to a degree. But actually, she's showing me a backward motion also. A backward motion which will then become forward again. What I mean by that is I'm hearing jobs for the boys. I'm being given the example of something like women who go into engineering or do something which is traditionally a man's job. So, for example, an engineer, a plumber, a builder, whatever. And those are the ones she's giving me. And maybe it's because of the times that we're living in, where we have economic crisis, some might say collapse. It's as though she's saying, be very careful that the gains that women have managed to create for themselves, because it is them that have created them, to be able to go into, for example, new professions. I know not everybody wants to be a plumber or an engineer or a bricklayer, but some do, and that's fine. But she's saying be very careful that these well-fought gains somehow don't shrink back. And it seems to be linked into the economic times, which is, I'm getting the energy of, this isn't a specific person, it's an energy. It's almost as though I'm seeing women doing more masculine jobs, and it's almost like getting pushed out of line by a masculine energy that feels very threatened. And it already feels threatened for all sorts of reasons, she's saying, but it's this old patriarchal energy of I have to be the one that puts the bread on the table. And when there isn't enough work for everybody, then there seems to be a bit of a fight for the diminishing pool of what is left. And where there might be a question mark with regards to, well, could a woman do that job as well as a man? There are some employers who might still be holding this more staid energy, she's saying, who won't want to risk it, whereas 10 years ago they would have done. But she's saying don't panic, don't fret, because it's literally just, she's showing me like a shunting motion, literally like a train, which is sort of being pushed back into the sidings a little bit, but then for whatever reason it shoots forward again. So that's a very generalized message, and of course how that lands is going to be different with regards to your country that you're watching me in, and the type of jobs, professions and equality status that already exists. In some countries, of course, women don't even have the option to take men's jobs. Diana, I would like to ask about the energy with some of the most oppressed women in our world right now. Obviously, we've had this situation with Israel, Iran, the whole Middle East, really, but not just exclusive to that area. But there's been a lot, obviously, in the press with regards to Iran and the suppression of feminine rights, which includes also the rights of young girls. And I'm just tuning into that. And as soon as I say that, I'm just getting this absolute sorrow coming through, which is just absolutely going all the way through me. And I'm just feeling it as this gigantic teardrop. And it's a teardrop that is so plump with weight, with sorrow, with shame, with horror, with terror, with fear. And I'm particularly seeing the young girls that are sold into marriage early, and the brutality of that. Okay, so as people watching this video, she's showing me this teardrop. I mean, it's massive. It's absolutely massive. There's a watershed moment coming, I'm feeling, because it's almost got to a place where it is so heavy. It is so terrible. It is so dark. It is so violent. It is so horrendous that something has to give. The question is what, of course. But she showed me the teardrop, and Yeah, because it's interesting, because it's like the weight, it's like gravity. Imagine like this gigantic teardrop, and then the weight of gravity on it ultimately will cause it at some point to explode, to burst. And then after that, take me to that place, Diana. After that, there is breath. After that, it feels like you can breathe again. So I just need to get a spray. I'm just going to use the air element, which says breathe. And can we take a nice deep breath in together? And out. And breathe in the energy of freedom. And breathe the energy out of freedom for all women. And Diana is saying, when we, as women who are more privileged and who don't have that same suppression, oppression done to us, what we can do for our sisters in a far-off land is to build the energy of freedom within ourselves and demonstrate it in our own life, because it then ripples out. It becomes that enormous, almost like a tsunami wave of light, of frequency, of energy that helps to blow fresh air and perspective and hope into the smallest crevices where darkness has penetrated so deeply and infested that place. So women of the world really have to be coming together and fighting back with regards to any oppression that they feel, with regards to how they live their life, what they can do with their own bodies, how they can express themselves, what jobs they do, how they raise their children, what they stand up for, etc. Okay. I feel as I'd just like to pull one other card here with regards to Iran and the women there. And we're going to pull a card from this deck, the Intuitive Whispers Oracle, for that heaviness that we were just all feeling. Spirit, please. Anything to bring to our attention right now. Situation in Iran with women and children. We've got the magic of nothingness. Your mind, your body, your soul, as well as on the bottom of the deck. Let me see what that means. The magic of nothingness. Card number 34. I'll show you what it looks like in a minute. So it's about allowing yourself space. Oh, that's interesting. It says there is magic to be found in nothingness when you stop everything and allow yourself space. Something that you miss when you're rushing around begins to unfurl. So this thing about quietening everything down, taking your time, not rushing. I even felt that energy coming in as I was doing this video. Because there's a pressure with regards to YouTube that you've got to get to your point quickly or people are going to stop listening. And I just felt Diana say, take your time. You know, take your time. The right people will find this video and will listen. So doing nothing. Isn't there a saying which is actually when it feels as though nothing is happening, everything is happening? Because we're all so busy all of the time, myself included. We're rushing around, we're doing this, we're doing that. It's as though we're not able to create a space to bring in the miracle and the change that we wish to see, not just in our own lives, but in the collective. As I said that, the camera ran out of space, the memory card, which just confirms the message. So that card of nothingness, with the violet light, which is transmutation. So violet light also being very important to bring in the healing that is needed. But also I'm really reminded in that card of like the energy of the void, creation itself, back to the creation of the universe, from nothing to everything. It's the energy of from nothing to everything, from women feeling as though they have nothing to having everything. And the violet ray is also the ray of magic. Okay. Let's just finish off this card, the card 37, spinning wheel. It says spinning has also long been associated with storytelling. Back to this card, the one with the spinning wheel, yeah. Fairy tales were most often told by women as they spun and wove to share wisdom from one woman to another. Think about the phrases spinning a tale or telling a yarn. In this fairy tale, the only way that the girl can gain control over her destiny is through the use of language. She must name that which she fears the most. So the spinning of straw into precious metal can be understood as a metaphor for finding the gold of wisdom during a difficult quest for self-understanding. By changing your story, you can change your destiny. Consider the stories you tell about yourself. How are you limited by those narratives? And how can you empower yourself by changing the words in which you think about yourself and your life? Yeah, I mean, that is a huge subject, and it's something I've talked about many times with regards to Archangel Metatron, that we are not our story. I'm also being reminded here by Metatron of something that I've said in previous videos, which is with regards to spots in our world. Okay, let's just put it like that. Countries, areas, continents in our world where there has been a history of just terrible struggle, oppression, whatever. The more that we link, the more that we view them just in that light, the more that we keep them trapped. The more that we can start to picture that country, that people, these women, these children healed and free and happy and abundant, that is what the universe can start to spin into action. But it's as though we're all trapped on this wheel whereby we are very fixed in when we think maybe of a particular country or a particular person or a particular group of people, that they have to be this way. And then we don't allow them the opportunity to change by envisaging something better for them. Because the first rule of the universe is that everything starts from thought. The importance of thought to manifest everything. And if you've got thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people always thinking something about a particular group of people, and Diana's definitely bringing in the energy of racism here as well, always judging a particular race as this or that, or flinging insults or like stereotypical energy at them, you're actually never giving them a chance at a collective soul level to become something else. So it is actually our responsibility, she's saying, to always be trying to envisage the best for any nation, any group of people that we meet or come into contact with. And she's saying people theoretically understand that, but they don't energetically understand that. That's a really, really important point. You can theoretically understand that, and nobody would disagree with, well, of course, I want to think the best for people or the best for the world. But actually putting it into action, she's saying, is difficult, because what occurs is prejudice is the first block that you meet. Your prejudice, which can also be cultural prejudice. She's showing me the energy here of Dodie, actually, and the relationship, obviously, she had with him towards the end of her life, and the fact that that was judged in certain quarters, because, of course, he wasn't, a Christian man. But Diana was very much about seeing the soul of somebody. She didn't see the colour. She wasn't with Dodie because he wasn't white and Christian. She just was with him because he was Dodie. And she's also showing me Hasnet Khan as well, who was her real true love, and she's talked about that in previous videos. But again, it wasn't his country of origin or his religion or the colour of his skin that attracted her. It was just the fact she loved his soul. She loved who he was, the beingness of him. So there's definitely something here about that. And to be fair to Harry, of course, Harry also has expressed that with his love for Meghan also. Okay, right. Let's now move on. And as Diana instructed, she wanted to bring in a few other feminine energies. So I don't quite know how this is going to work, but let's just see how it does. Because it's almost like I feel as though Diana's here and then there's going to be another energy here, ascended master type energy. Right. So the first one I think that we want to bring in is Mother Mary. Okay, so there is a beautiful Mother Mary spray that we sell, and I've always referred to Mother Mary as the safe harbour. Oh, I see what Diana's doing now. Okay, I can feel the messages coming through already. Let me just spray it. So, safe harbour, Mother Mary. So Diana's taking me to her own childhood and her own complicated relationship with her own mother, who during her lifetime she never felt to be a safe harbour. The story, of course, is that Diana's mother left. Okay, she left. And so there's that energy of abandonment. There's an abandonment wound. And, of course, the energy of Marilyn Monroe as well was one of abandonment. I've done a channeling with Marilyn where we talked about the mother wound there. And indeed, a person I have not channeled yet, but I would very much like to in the future, is Sinead O'Connor, who's got a huge mother wound as well. So Mother Mary, bringing up the mother wound. Okay, so we've got Mother Mary's energy here, holding space, Diana's energy too. And let me just see what wants to happen. Okay. Okay, what's interesting is that after crossing over to Spirit, I have the energy of Diana's essence, who, even though she understood at a soul level, as I've said, what was going to happen and all the rest of it, the human shell gets traumatized and shocked by events and often hasn't worked through all of the things it thought it still had time to work through. So that damaged aspect of self, I just feel being completely enveloped by Mother Mary's energy. Literally, there's a phrase, isn't there, about being taken in. It's almost like I don't know what the expression is. It's like being taken into the bosom of a woman. There's something about literally being taken into the heart space to such a degree that almost Diana's energy and Mary's energy merge. Not to become a new, ascended being. That's not what I'm saying. It's literally... Okay, there's nothing at all sexual about what this is, but the only analogy I can give is the entry of a man into a woman, where actually the two become one but are still separate energies, and then of course after the act are separate again. But the union that happens in the sexual act is about many things, of course, but ultimately can be about the creation of a new soul, can't it? So this enveloping of Diana, the wounded Diana, by Mary at the heart level, going in there at the heart level, literally like being enveloped just for a moment or however long it took, and then coming out of Mary's energy, physically out of her energy, created the healing that was required. And it feels as though Mary is saying, this can be done. This can be done whilst you are still here on earth. She's talking to us now. Being enveloped by Mary's energy. This thing about the safe harbour, that if you don't feel safe, if you feel whatever's happened to you, whatever traumas you're holding, whatever healing needs to take place, that you can be enveloped in Mother Mary's love. And I'm seeing Diana shortly after the healing she received from Mary in spirit, shiny new basically as an energy. And what's interesting as well is that Diana's mother also was taken into Mary's breast. That's the energy I get. It's the breast area. It's this energy of, and a breast is important also because it's linked into femininity. It's how we feed our children. It's just this symbol, isn't it, of what it is to be female. It's sacred. And so there's something about entering via the heart chamber there. And I'm seeing the mother also healed. Okay. I'm going to pull a card here. I pull cards in videos like this just to, I don't have an interviewer there sitting over there. It's just me. So sometimes it's just nice to have another energy coming in, which can take us in a different direction. And I can ask Diana about. Okay. Let me just pull a card at this point. Gratitude for the past has come through. Nice. And that's particularly nice because I was just talking about Diana's mother and the healing for both her and Diana. So when you are healed, you are able to have gratitude for everything that has happened, including the painful parts, particularly at a soul level. At a soul level, you understand that what was done to you, why it happened. You understand the soul contracts involved. I love the fact there's this beautiful, wise old owl there. Isn't that a beautiful card? I love the colours of that. Card number 20. And the energy of gratitude, of course, as well, being something that helps to heal us also. Okay, so Mother Mary, I'm going to bring in the energy of Marilyn a little bit now. We don't have this spray anymore in the shop, so maybe when it's Marilyn's anniversary, we might do something again. But just for now, I'm going to use this to help me connect. So again, Diana, Marilyn, let's just see. And it's bringing in a really fun energy as soon as I spray that, because I've got just this energy of two queens together, and I know that Marilyn met Queen Elizabeth, but what fun she would have had meeting Princess Diana, and I'm just feeling that energy of missed opportunity on the earth plane, but it feels as though they have a ball in spirit. Definitely have met each other in spirit, and I'm just seeing the energy of linking hands, linking arms, and just strolling off into the sunset together. They've both got handbags. It's all the glamour and the love of fashion, and I know their spirit, but they're just showing this because it helps us to understand the energy of the connection. Both were very glamorous. Both loved being a woman. Okay, there's this thing about loving being a woman, and of course that's very deep, as we just felt with the holiness and the that is needed when it is desecrated, in terms of what it is to be female, with regard to the whole Iranian thing we just felt with the horrors of all of that. But there's also this other side of being a female when we do feel free to express ourselves and have fun and dress and makeup and all of that. And I'm just seeing all of that with those two, and I don't know why, but for some reason I'm being shown Diana being painted, because I'm sure she was painted in her life, in terms of official portraits as well as photography sessions. And of course, Marilyn was always photographed and, you know, flash bulbs going off. But there's something, I don't know, they're both showing me that, just the energy of art and photography somehow being a bond as well. Or as a media. Maybe they're both stepping forward saying that this is very interesting actually, considering that Diana, many people believe the paparazzi were, you know, partly responsible for her death as well. Some would say the same with Marilyn. And, you know, has that lesson been learned? Probably not. I saw a footage of Justin Bieber the other day, you know, and he's literally pleading with the paparazzi to just leave him alone. I think he's saying something like, I'm a father now, I'm a husband, you know, and they don't take they don't take any notice. But anyway, there's this thing about photography and media generally, and people that work in those industries, that you can call on these two to help you with that, to be authentic and have integrity, which I'm sure you would do anyway if you're watching me. But there's something about, they had an eye. So it's interesting. There's a particular photo shoot that Diana's referencing, which was done by somebody like Mario somebody or other. It's the black and white shot of her. I mean, a lot of them were black and white, but there's a particular set of photographs by this photographer called Mario Testino or something like that, I think it is. And she was saying, yeah, he was a master of his craft, but there's also something about, I also knew how to position myself. You know, I also knew that I needed that light here or that light there, or this particular colour would complement me. You know, I knew what I was doing basically. And for some reason, Marilyn Monroe is showing me Andy Warhol. I don't know whether she ever met Andy Warhol, but again, Andy Warhol, quirky, known as a genius of his type, but there's something about Marilyn, like Diana, knowing how to position herself. So yes, both blessed with beauty and grace and all the rest of it, but knowing how to work it is what they're saying, knowing how to work it. And they're both laughing. It's a really light-hearted, beautiful connection between these two. I really love it. It's really fun. I think I've said before with Marilyn, there's this energy of just, you know, particularly as a female, making a fantastic female friend. You know, take her shopping with you. You'll see through new eyes. She'll get you trying on things you would never have considered, you know, and all of that. Okay, but equally, again, they're also these two are also showing me what they have in connection. There's this energy of, for want of a better word, domesticity. I mean, Diana was a Cancerian. I can't remember what Marilyn was now off the top of my tongue, but, you know, I do remember I channeled with Marilyn. The first time she came to me was when I was hanging up the washing in my garden. I was like, what? Marilyn Monroe? But it's this thing about loving, just taking care of home. They were both into that. They both loved that. They both homely. There's a homely energy. There's a real connection between these two. It's really lovely. But yeah, definitely. I just think Diana would have got such a thrill. There's a thing where we have things like Royal Variety performances and shows, and the people that are in the shows, they line up to shake hands with the king or the queen, whoever's, you know, on the throne at the time. And Diana would have loved, there would have been so many giggles if Marilyn had been one of the ones coming up to shake her hand. And she said, Diana's saying, I would have bowed to her as well, or curtsied to her rather. I would have curtsied to her. Yeah, lovely. Really nice. Okay. Last but not least, the energy of Mary Magdalene. Okay. So before I spray the Mary Magdalene, I think I'd like to pull a card actually. And I'm going to pull a card from Queen of the Sun or Queen of the Moon. Which one shall I go for? Queen of the Sun, I think. Okay. It's not that far past solstice as I'm recording this. Sun is out in the sky. Queen of the Sun. So before we connect to Mary Magdalene and Diana, let's just pull a card from Queen of the Sun Oracle. What wants to come through at this point, please? Queen of the Sun. Okay. Apollo Insight. Quite funny. It's a deck about queendom, and we've got Apollo coming through. Card number 26. So I'm going to have to read what that's all about. We've got the divine masculine energy, haven't we? Card 26, Apollo. Apollo, the son of Zeus and Leto, was one of the most deeply honoured gods of the ancient world. Interestingly, the Romans referred to him as Lucifero and his twin Diana as Lucifera. As Christianity spread through the ancient world and the old gods became demonized, a god as beloved as Apollo was seen as a threat. Associating him as Satan, the devil, was a way to discredit him and pagans in general. Apollo was seen as a healer, though, and also the god governing music. It was said that certain magical songs originated by him and sung by humans could heal illness, and evidence indicates that music was normally a major feature of his temples and worship. The circumstance of Apollo being the destroyer of those of evil intent was believed by some of the ancients to have given rise to his name, which they connected with apolumi, to destroy. In his role of sun god and light giver, the shining Apollo was seen as the god of prophecy and oracles. So it's beautiful, actually. This was in relation to Mary Magdalene, actually, wasn't it? But we've got the energy of Apollo coming forward. More than anything, I just want to link that energy into the energy of divine masculine for some reason. Let's see what Mary Magdalene has to say. Got Diana here now. Diana, Mary Magdalene. It's interesting because as soon as Mary Magdalene's energy comes in, I see Diana with her head covered with a veil and she's bowed. There's great reverence. Not that she didn't have reverence for Mother Mary, but I'm just noting the difference in how she conducts herself, how she reacts to these different energies coming in for us, but also for her. Okay, how we as women treat men. And I've said this before in previous videos with Diana, but she came forward in a channeling, a few videos back, where she was actually asking for collective forgiveness with regards to how she treated some men during her lifetime. Not talking Charles, I'm just talking, she had affairs with married men, that type of thing. And there being an energy of, what's the right word? Regret is what she's saying, regret. In terms of not being able to appreciate the damage she did and not being able to see through the eyes of maybe the scorned wife or the forgotten wife in all of it, just putting self first. So she's not coming forward judging anybody that's in that type of relationship, but it's just from her perspective, she brought forward an energy of regret that she had got herself involved with some people who were not free when she was alive. So this energy of Apollo, for us as divine feminine women to be respected, we also have to respect men. Now, that can be difficult in an age where we have men that don't respect women. So I've just got the Mary Magdalene energy coming in. I'm being taken to the misogyny, and I don't want to be controversial in this video, but I am going to say it. It's fresh in my mind. Last night in the UK, there was the most profound interview I've seen in many years. It was a man called John Hunt and his daughter Amy. And John Hunt is a BBC commentator. He's a horse racing commentator, very well loved. And a few years ago, a man, one of John Hunt's daughters basically, ended a relationship with her partner, and he murdered her mother, and he murdered her sister. And the only two surviving members of that family are John Hunt and the oldest sister, Amy. And what was extraordinary about the video is the dignity and the grace under pressure that they show, and the fact that they are trying to move on with their lives, make the most of their lives, honour the family that have gone and been taken from them. But it might still be on BBC iPlayer. It was the most profound, beautifully moving video. It really moved me. But more than anything, what I was feeling was grace under pressure. But why I'm weaving it in is they were talking about misogyny. How can society create a man who, when told that the relationship isn't working anymore and want no part of it, thinks it's their right to take a life, and not just that life, but the mother's life, the sister's life. It was a horrific case, and has shown no remorse. And so we have the energy of Mary Magdalene coming in, talking about this energy of misogyny. And John Hurt did mention the Andrew Tate, as not part of it. As part of it, but not the whole reason. The night before this particular man murdered his family, this guy had been watching Andrew Tate videos. And he was very eloquent. He said, I know it's not directly as a response to, for example, Andrew Tate and what he watched that night, but it's the whole culture, it's the whole construct where misogynists are given a name, are given a platform. So Mary Magdalene coming in here, and I've just got Diana feeling quite subdued at this point, because she's saying, I raised 2 sons to respect women, and she's proud of that, but equally she's talking about the role of mothers to do their best in this age, which she wasn't even a part of. When she died, it's social media and what is available now for young men to be able to watch freely in their free time with their mates. It wasn't so prevalent when Diana was alive. It is now. It's become a cancer in society, she's saying, and it is destroying lives. So she's like shaking her head, bowing her head, because she feels very connected to this subject because of like her boys. She still talks about her boys, and of course the next generation of boys. We've got William, we've got Louis, we've got Archie, we've got George. We've got Harry. Sorry, I was really talking about the grandchildren at that point, but I put William and Harry in as well. We've got Louis, we've got George, we've got Archie. So we've got, it's how can we encourage our men to be the best version of themselves that they can be? And that's a big question. So let's just go to Mary Magdalene. None of these questions have easy answers. It always comes back to the bit of change that we can create that ripples out into the wider world. That if we can demonstrate healthy relationships, if we can teach what it is to be healthy in a relationship, what behaviour is acceptable, what is not, if we can demonstrate grace, if we can demonstrate forgiveness, if we can demonstrate patience, if I don't know what, all the qualities that make up a decent human being, if we can demonstrate that, teach that, be that, then the world's got a chance. And we just have to keep on trying. And there's also something coming through here with this Apollo energy. It's really beautiful. That isn't it a gateway energy? When I say the real men, I'm talking about men who just really embody beautiful qualities of divine masculinity, who are good fathers, who are good custodians, who are good members of society, who are charitable, who are kind, who are loving, who are gracious, who help, who support, etc. So it's about who as a society are we holding up as our heroes and our role models, and who are we forgetting? The John Hurts of this world should be right up there as a shining example of what is possible in the face of the most unbelievable, brutal tragedy, to still be there for himself, for his surviving daughter, and And there's also something about justice, because the whole reason he did the interview yesterday, the only one they've done, they requested it, was because they wanted to set the record straight. There'd been misrepresentation in the media with regards to his daughters that have died, and he wasn't having it. So he was standing up for the name of his daughter. He made the very good point that in the media it was reported as a revenge killing. He said those very words themselves imply that somehow his daughter did something wrong. She didn't. She didn't deserve it. Revenge implies that you're reacting against something. The only thing she had done was try to end a relationship. So, you know, it's these type of men. And, you know, I'm reminded, Diana's now bringing in the energy of the work that I started last year and haven't finished yet, because it's an ongoing thing. The Knights of the Round Table, the energy of King Arthur, the qualities that we would like to see in our world modelled by men, by women, we have to be. Bit of a deep message, I know, but that's what is coming through with Mary Magdalene. Okay, so this video is probably getting on now in terms of its length. So I'd like to end with a final message from Diana. There is a spray that we created for her called the Queen of Hearts, England's Rose, a couple of years ago. It's been out of stock for a long time. We might have a few in the shop for the anniversary of her birth, but it's not one we carry regularly. But if it is available, I'll link it below. But anyway, I'm going to use it now to help me also just connect to a final message from Diana. She says, thank you for honouring who I am and what I'm about, and the depth that exists beneath the surface that I always had, and how deeply I cared about so many of these subjects that we've talked about today. Life is a cabaret, my friend. Got that coming through. Was that Lisa Minnelli, wasn't it? Okay, got Lisa Minnelli's energy coming through. I know she's still alive, isn't she? But also Judy Garland. She's okay. Diana's bringing through Judy Garland now. Or she's not actually here. I'm not saying Judy Garland is here. I'm just meaning Diana is referencing Judy Garland as another person who was betrayed, abused, used, spat out by the industry, good at this particular type of work, stereotyped, all the rest of it. So I don't know, maybe that's something, maybe she's somebody who wants to come through in a future Heart Squad channeling. So I'll just note that for now, Diana, thank you. But no, more than anything, I'm just getting this energy of gratitude from Diana, for you, for listening to this, for going beyond, she's saying, the tabloid headlines in terms of what you want me to be talking about, which I've already talked about before, she's saying. She's saying I was about depth. I was about trying to help bring in change and get people to look at themselves and question their behaviour. And I'm still about that, is what she's saying. She's taken me to the energy of war, and just the desperate need to hold the line there, and maintain our strength as women in the face of what is growing demands for war in our world. The war machine ramping up. Of course, that's going to be different in different countries, but Diana was from the UK. In the UK this week, we've got our Prime Minister saying that we should be preparing for war within the next, I don't know, however many years, and potential attacks on our homeland soil, and, you know, really ramping up the fear, ramping up the war machine. And Diana is saying, if there are people in your midst that are doing that, we have to be ramping up the peace machine. We have to be ramping up the heart apparatus, the heart machine. It is the only antidote to that. So she's saying the voices of war right now are very loud in our world, and projecting that into the future as a foregone conclusion. She says it doesn't have to be like that, that we can project into the future the energy of peace, resolution, recovery, renewal, coming together, unity, compassion. The question is, what type of world do we wish to see? And needing to understand, truly, truly understand that what we're putting out there is what we are helping to create. So you are not powerless. Back to full circle, back to how we started the video with regards to the spinning wheel and we could say the wheel of destiny. Destiny at a collective level is yours to create. She's saying you come down with particular soul contracts and things that are predestined. But she says the only destiny for this collective is that eventually we get there. And she's talking about a new earth timeline, although she's not using those words. Those are my words. But she's saying mankind at the moment is making all of these very, long-winded pathways to avoid that, to avert that, to try to not get to that place. She says you will get there, but your job is to just keep channeling and to keep promoting the energy of hope, peace and love within your own life, within your own self, within your own communities and the wider world. Okay. And she's encouraging us now to get out. So I live by the sea. She's saying, come on, let's go for a walk by the sea. And that's what I'm seeing her doing. Barefoot on the beach. White pair of shorts, laughing, wanting to go and explore the beach near me. And interestingly, at the beach, there is the energy of Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary. I always see them beside water. Allow the feminine energy of the world to change the waters of the world. Life begins within the feminine vessel. Life begins within the water, within the feminine body. Remember that you are water, that we are water, that we can change, we can evolve. And we will. And with that, she's waving, running off to the beach, and she's saying, catch up with me. Okay. Right. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please give it a like. Thank you for listening. Happy birthday, Diana. I'm now being shown a great big birthday cake with just like one candle, and she's blowing it out, and she's in a good place. But she's always there to help, as are all of the other guides that we've been working with through this video. Thanks very much, everybody. Take care, stay in your hearts, and all will be well. Bye-bye for now. Bye.